All right, everyone, welcome back to the trip, guys. Csec, it is nice to be back with you. And I believe this is one of the most important documents right now for you right now, wherever you are, at least where I am. This is on CSEC English A for 2025. This is section D of the initial documents. And we're looking at argumentative writing. I did made a video on this. So if you haven't watched that, you could watch that video when you have time. So without further ado, let's actually start. So it says here, the school is the most important institution for teaching manners and respect to children. Write an argumentative essay giving your views on the statement. So some notes on the argumentative writing to just make you have a guideline is number one, give a general thesis. So give a general thesis. Number two, um, give a general thesis usually within 2 to 3 lines. Give a general thesis in 2 to 3 lines. State your view on the other party's view also. And then thirdly, um, for the three All right. So first of all, you give a general thesis. Within this thesis, you state what are we exactly talking about. For example, the school is the most important institution for teaching manners and respect to children. In this case, you could start off generally with, like, for example, the school is the most important institution in all of the world. Since, or you could just start off with a general statement. It's just a general synopsis of what the essay is about. So, on the other party's point of view, there's a very big difference between an argumentative essay and a persuasive essay. So, something to note is that in a persuasive essay, you may need to give your personal opinion and not that of the other. So there's something that very important, and there's the big difference between argumentative essay and a persuasive essay. In argumentative essay, you state both sides of the argument. So you state both sides of the argument for an argumentative essay. So there's something that is another note that is very important. So moving on down the line, the final note is that the final note is to make sure that you're looking at your connectives. Firstly, secondly, etc. So there's at least 3 practical steps that you could actually take, but more than that is that in an argumentative essay, there needs to be a rebuttal. I'll give you what is a rebuttal in a few minutes, and that's actually when you start writing, so you could get a general idea. So this is just the notes on argumentative writing. So yes, don't add any more information, or don't add additional information in the conclusion. Utilize, and this is just an additional note. I just put it as additional note. This is something or I really like to you guys to try out. Additional notes in the case you don't you're not well acquainted with a topic, utilize statistics. And like for example, if you want to utilize statistics, statistics doesn't really need to be correct. Statistics could be like if you're talking about like for example drugs are bad, you could utilize statistics and say that 90% of persons who utilize drugs die between the ages of 17 to 20, and that information that may not be correct, but it definitely gives your essay a more meaningful explanation, makes the essay better and everything along that line. So without further ado, let's actually start writing the essay. So the topic is, let's just put a topic right here. The topic is the school is the most important institution for teaching manners and respect to children. So this is the topic, right? So let's start off with a thesis statement now. And this is something that sublimates. We'll start at the beginning with a thesis statement now. So first of all, let's actually make a general statement. The school the school is generally the most important part of a child's life. So the school is generally the most important part of a child's life. And now, after you finish the thesis statement, this is the thesis statement. I'll just put it in brackets now. I'll just put this in bracket, thesis statement. So we have that out of the way. I believe that children should not be hindered from this gift. So let's go back. Let's make sure we're not straying off core. For the topic, it says the school is the most important institution for teaching manners and respect to children, hindered from this gift of society. So now let's state the other arguments or the other side of the argument. So I said before, you look at both sides of the argument, right? So we stated our position. We stated that I believe that children should not be hindered from this gift of society, right? So now let's actually state their side of the argument. However, a lot argue that um, education is not good for children's personal growth in society. So we actually place a general statement. We stated their point of view, and now we are getting started. So we're within the introduction. We stated our side of the argument, and then we stated the other side of the argument. Right now is a very important part. We actually list why we think that children should not be hindered from education, right? And then we could think something like this: the following are some of the reasons why, I just put this why children should not be hindered from academic based learning. And within this part here, going on right now here, as you could see, I placed the columns, and that is usually a signification of you state your points. You could do two things here, all right? You could either start off with, for example, like forcefully, or I give you a couple example forcefully. Um, I utilize forcefully for now because I want to keep it simple. Or if you want, you could use to begin, um, or to begin forcefully or to begin. That's the most basic thing. Um, you could state your points here. I could be it's the following are some of the reasons why children should not be hindered from academical based learning. Um, because you could actually state, first of all, it helps children it helps children grow mentally, um, become critical thinkers, and um, grow emotionally and become emotionally mature. Right? So this is the introduction. So we got the introduction out of the way. So let's read the introduction, and then I'll just state out some points and you could take that into account. The school is generally the most important part of a child's life. And that's a thesis statement, right? I believe that children should not be hindered from this gift of society. However, a lot argue that education is not good for children's personal growth in society. The following are some of the reasons why children should not be hindered from academic based learning: because it helps children grow mentally, become critical thinkers, and aids, I just changed that, in emotional maturity. Right? So that's the introduction. So, firstly, let's start off with this first point here, which says it helps children grow emotionally. Firstly, it has been recorded that 90%, I'll just put 90% in brackets so you could know that that is actually, as I said before, we have statistic that this data is just made up. It is not accurate, but I am showing you a little tip that you could do in case you don't understand a topic thoroughly. So, firstly, it has been recorded that 90% of students that are in school are more emotionally mature due to the fact that they are more exposed to cultural learning that allows them to develop into mature and logical members of society. So that's our first point, right, guys? So moving on, that's our first couple of points. So we have our first point done, and we'll keep it long because I think let me check the word limit, guys. Just give me a second. We're already at 250 words, and that's a lot, guys. We don't want to make it too a lot. We are already 251 or 250 words to be exact. We'll try to keep it at around 350 words. So we'll keep it at that. So secondly, just think that in. Secondly, and this is within this point here, become critical thinkers, right? Members of society. And if you want to add fake information, as I like to say, you could actually add more into this to make it even more sound more brilliant. We could add like a connective, like for example, in addition, it has been recorded that children that attend at the prestigious school of Stanford are said to be the most mentally strong individuals on earth. And this is just a random statement that I made. It is not even correct, but I'm just saying it in such a way that it sounds correct. And I believe that's enough for CSEC, guys. So, yes, that's within the first point. So, secondly, it has been a common courtesy to say that children who graduate a better at high school are better off because of their improved analytical and logical thinking. So, alright, so secondly, it has been a common courtesy to say that children who graduate at high school are better off in society. Let me just add that right there. In society because of their improved analytical and logical thinking, right? So I'll try to keep this short, but like sometimes I just get myself lost in the thought sometime. So we have our 2 points. We did elaborate a bit. So you don't really have to explain a lot on these things once you know how to articulate and use statistical data. It does not need to be correct, as I said before. So secondly, there's been a common chord is because of their improved analytical and logical thinking. Um, as a consequence, these students that attend schools usually obtain higher paying jobs. Higher paying jobs and become respectable members of society. So yes. So we have our introduction, firstly, secondly, um, and that is it. So it helps children grow emotionally, and this point here, emotional maturity, and it helps children grow mentally. These are very similar points. So I'll just utter it. I'll not use firstly and secondly, because if you're saying firstly, you're introducing a whole new point. If you're using secondly, you're introducing an entirely new point. But if you're saying furthermore, you're just adding to a pre-existing point. So I utilize the word in addition. I just use in addition just for the sake of it. In addition, it has been proven by the University of Stanford that children that take in part in educative institutions usually have better better emotional handling compared to those who do not attend. So yes, we have those 2 points out of the way. So we have our 3 points down. Um, Let me just use a different university. I think using standard is very redundant. Harvard. So yes, we have 3 points. We have our 3 points. We have our introduction, our firstly, secondly, and in addition, and then we have our rebuttal. Our rebuttal is basically summating both of the argument and like weighing a bit. So that's what a rebuttal is. So let's actually do a rebuttal. We'll do a conclusion and then we'll close off. When you're going to write your statist or you're going to write your argumentative essay, another note is end with an enclosed question. It's just my opinion. Closed question that lets the read that leaves the reader thinking. So yes, we have that's my final advice when you're writing an argumentative essay. So yes. So don't add additional information. Da 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 da. Alright, let's move on back to. We could just close it off right here, guys. We could, right? But this is just a pro advice. This is just something that I wouldn't really advise you to do this, but if you can do it, you could do it. You could do a rebuttal. So I'll put a rebuttal in this video. So let's start. So while while a lot believe that education does not fulfill all the while a lot believe that education does not fulfill all the needs of society, it certainly does improve. Evidence disprove this. Time disprove this Santical statement time and time again. So yeah, this is a rebuttal. Rebuttal does not need to be long. So this is an example of what a rebuttal is. Alright, so we have everything done. Now only thing we need to do now is to do a conclusion. So I'll just in conclusion, education is a key aspect in modern day society for development on all levels imaginable. So, in conclusion, education is a key aspect in modern day society for development on all levels imaginable. And then I'll end off with some profound statement. What would the world be without education? And that is it. I'll end off it with some nice profound question, and it just leaves the reader thinking. So that is the whole essay. Now let's read it. So the topic is the school is the most important institution for teaching manners and respect to children, right? So we did have three main points. The three main points is students academic based learning helps children grow mentally, it, and that comes back down into teaching them manners and respect. Um, Additionally, it helps become critical thinkers and aids in emotional maturity. The school is generally the most important part of a child's life, and that's the thesis statement. I believe that children should not be hindered from this gift of society. However, a lot argue that education is not good for children's personal growth in society. The following are some of the reasons why children should not be hindered from academic based learning because it helps children grow mentally, become critical thinkers, and it aids in emotional maturity. Firstly, it has been recorded that 90% of students that are in school are more emotionally mature due to the fact that they are more exposed to cultural learning. This allows them to develop into mature and logical members of society. In addition, it has been recorded that children that attend the prestigious School of Stanford are said to be the most mentally strong individuals on earth. Secondly, it has been a common courtesy to say that children who graduate at high schools are better off in society because of their improved analytical and logical thinking. As a consequence, these students that attend schools usually obtain higher paying jobs and become respectable members of society. In addition, it has been proven by University of of Harvard that children that take part in educative institutions usually have better emotional handling compared to those who do not attend schools. While a lot believe that education does not fulfill all the needs of society, evidence disproves this cynical statement time and time again. In conclusion, education is a key aspect in modern day society for development on all levels imaginable. What would the world be without education? And that is how you write a good argumentative essay, looking at both the argument and fulfilling all the main points that we did highlight at the beginning. So that's everything, guys. Subscribe to the Subscribe Guys Chill Zone or Subscribe Guys CSEC now. See you guys on the next video. Have a blessed day.